A response from the Democrats now. Julián Castro made a breakthrough on the debate stage on Wednesday night, joins us now. Julián, thank you for joining us this morning. Let's start out with that trip for the president to North Korea, the first president to stand on North Korean soil. Would a President Castro have made the same move?
Well, look, I am all for speaking with our adversaries, but what's happened here is that this president has raised the profile of a dictator like Kim-Jong-Un, and now 3 times visited with him unsuccessfully because he's doing it backward. Usually what happens, as you know, George, is that there's an intense amount of staff work that goes into negotiating how one of these talks is going to go so that you can hopefully get something out of it. We haven't gotten anything out of it. And after they had the first summit, the Singapore summit, he told the American people that North Korea was no longer a threat. Then after that, they continued to test their nuclear weapons, and they have not even abided by one of the commitments that they made originally, which was to give an inventory of their nuclear stockpile. So, you know, it's worrisome that this president erratically sets up a meeting without the staff work being done. It seems like it's all for show. It's not substantive, as Jonathan said in his report. And we're left to believe, you know, what kind of progress are we actually making? At the same time, the cost to the United States and to our allies is that he's raising the profile, growing the strength of a dictator.
So you think he gave a gift to Kim Jong-un?
I think that he should put the work in beforehand and hold him accountable to the commitment that he made in the Singapore summit. I don't think that it's fitting for the United States to continue to erratically meet with a dictator when they haven't abided by the first terms a year ago.
Okay, let's talk about the debate Wednesday night. You did have a breakthrough performance. You talked a lot about wanting to decriminalize immigrants coming into the United States right now, make it a civil penalty. Again, you've drawn a lot of heat for that, also for the plans that all the Democrats said they wanted to give access to health care for undocumented immigrants. President Trump had a tweet while he was overseas. Want to show that. All Democrats just raised their hands for giving millions of illegal aliens unlimited health care. How about taking care of American citizens first? That's the end of that race. Followed by the New York Post the next morning. Want to show that as well. Who wants to lose this election as all the Democrats raise their hands? Did you give an opening to the Republicans?
Not at all. What I would like every American taxpayer to know is that right now, number one, undocumented immigrants already pay a lot of taxes. Secondly, we already pay for the health care of undocumented immigrants. It's called the emergency room. People show up in the emergency room and they get care as they should. And then third, it is the right thing to do. We're not going to let people living in this country die because they can't see a doctor. That's not who we are as Americans.
The question is at what cost, though? And when you add up all the proposals you're calling for right now, decriminalization of crossing the border, no deportation, absent other crimes, the offer of health benefits, also a possible path to citizenship. I know you reject the rhetoric about open borders, but isn't that effectively open borders not limiting our immigration in any real way?
I would challenge you there, George, on a couple of things. Number one, there's no way that we can call that open borders because we have 654 miles of fencing. We have thousands of personnel at the border. We have planes. We have helicopters, boats, security cameras, guns. That's by no stretch of the imagination open borders. And then, you know, secondly, there is still a civil court process. There are still people who are being deported. There are people applying for asylum that do not receive, are not granted asylum. So open borders is just a right-wing talking point. It always has been. And I'll say, it doesn't matter what Democrats do on this issue. President Trump and Republicans are always going to say the Democrats are for open borders. I have a completely different vision, a better, stronger vision of how we can be more effective, more humane, and smarter on border security and immigration. And, you know, this president has wasted 2.5 years. He knew that we had a flow of people that were coming from Central America when he became president on January 20th, 2017. He's wasted 2.5 years because he should have done what I've called for, which is a 21st century Marshall Plan with those Northern Triangle countries so that people can find safety and opportunity at home instead of having to come to the United States.
You talk about safety and opportunity at home, and you have called for that Marshall Plan for Central America. But what is your limiting principle on allowing people in and giving them asylum? There are wide swaths of the entire world mired in poverty, mired in areas where there's high crime. Anyone who's facing that kind of poverty, that kind of crime, should get asylum?
No, and that's not the system that we have now. We have a system to consider asylum claims based on certain criteria where people either qualify for asylum or they don't. You know, I agree with people that say, look, in theory, can we take everyone who would like to be in the United States? Nobody has called for that. I do believe, however, and I've put forward an immigration plan that would accept more people. I'll give you an example of that. By statute from the late 70s or early 80s, we can take in 110,000 refugees annually. Right now, we're only taking in between 30 and 40,000 refugees. I would like to see that go up to the statutory limit. So nobody has called for unlimited number of people coming to this country, but I do believe that we should expand that significantly, and we're big enough to do that. There have been times in our history in this country where we're taking in a lot more people, and we became a stronger nation for it. What's underlying this, and what the president likes to count on, is the fear and the paranoia that he's stoking. I refuse to believe, because it's not true, that the people that are coming because they're desperate, a lot of them women and children, represent some sort of national security threat or cultural threat to this country. That's bull.
Let's talk about Medicare for All, something that's dividing Democrats right now, and whether or not private insurance should be eliminated. You were not on the stage with Bernie Sanders on Thursday night, but you've been against eliminating private insurance. Why is Bernie Sanders wrong?
Well, I mean, I think that Bernie is right in the sense of that everyone who wants Medicare should have it. I believe that if you want Medicare in this country, that we should strengthen Medicare for the people who are on it and then make it available to all who want it. I also believe that if somebody has a private health insurance plan and they want to hold on to that, that they should be allowed to hold on to that. I think that we can accomplish both of those things. I also agree with Senator Sanders when he says, and many people have pointed out, that there's a lot of profit that goes into these insurance companies, into big pharma, and we need to put more of those resources into actually providing care for Americans. So, we agree on a lot of it. I think that people can hold on to some sort of private supplemental plan if they want. That there's no reason that we shouldn't allow them to do that.
Julián Castro, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.